So, why did the Syrian government fall so quickly? A lot of reasons. Some of the things that I've heard, just the army forces in general aren't compensated very well. Something like $40 a month compared to the rebel forces getting around 2,000. That's quite a bit more. So some of them might have been convinced just through material conditions to change sides and join these Al-Qaeda linked groups. That possibly the generals, the higher up military leadership had maybe been infiltrated by, let's say, maybe Turkish intelligence or Israeli or US-backed forces to, order their soldiers back away from the battlefields. The economic situation in Syria just overall is quite bleak. They've been under some very illegal and draconian sanctions. The Caesar Act or Caesar sanctions by the US. So the state in general was just not at a very strong point to be able to really muster its forces and defend itself. Russia had also pulled back their presence in the country and the region. They had played a pretty big part in being able to help support the Syrian government at the start of the dirty war, but back in 2011, 2013. Some of those forces have obviously been directed towards the special military operation in Ukraine, so that's another potential factor. The ceasefire, the uneven ceasefire, right, between Israel and Lebanon has made it so Hezbollah, it was basically kind of impossible for them to lend their support during this time, if that's something that the Syrian government had asked for, make that difficult. And also, as Professor Mohammed Marandi pointed out, we can't fault the axis of resistance for this. Iran had sent troops in. Syrian government had initially asked for the support of Iran. Iran sent some troops in, but as Marandi pointed out, they're not going to fight a war solely just at the behest of Iran. It needs to be at the discretion of the Syrian government, and the Syrian government kept waffling back and forth, saying yes, and then no, then yes, then no. And Iran wasn't just going to take it up on their own accord to fight these jihadist, these Islamic extremist forces, right? These HTS and the like. So Iran was ready and willing to lend their support, but the government didn't necessarily want that. So obviously that played a factor, and because of these different generals ordering their troops back from the line, these rebel groups were able to advance very quickly and didn't really face a whole lot of resistance, I should say. And obviously it hasn't helped all of the bombing campaigns that Israel has levied against Syria, right, to different cities and infrastructure like the airport. That definitely didn't strengthen the situation there. So there's really like a multitude of factors that all kind of coalesced into this perfect storm, but it did seem rather, at least to me as an outside observer, rather shocking how quickly this all transpired, and definitely a blow to the axis of resistance. We'll definitely face some setbacks because Syria was pretty important in that, as it was a land bridge to get support, particularly to Hezbollah in Lebanon. So there will have to be some creativity and adaptation to figure out how to make things work for the exact axis of resistance going forward in this new reality. And yeah, it's just really sad and unfortunate because life for the average, everyday working class person in Syria, their life is not going to get any better under a Islamic extremist regime, right? Particularly for religious minorities in the country. They're just going to be more, I would think, probably sectarianism and violence. So definitely some dark days ahead for the people in Syria and for the axis of resistance in general. But it was this big confluence of factors that led to the government being overthrown so quickly. Pretty wild times. Let me know, is there some other factors that I left out? Obviously, these groups were very heavily funded, well armed, receiving their support from Turkey and these Gulf monarchies like the UAE and Qatar. Very well financed, well armed, well trained. They have been obviously preparing for this for quite some time, and with all these different factors, it just led to, almost with light speed, the fall of the Syrian government. And it's still just so wild to me that there's supposed anti-imperialists cheering this on. Do better, people. Do better. Figure out, get your material analysis under check before you talk some bullshit. All right, let me know what you think down below. Peace.